Welcome back to Day with me, Greg Michaelson. I'm your host, and I'm joined here by Ray Me, my good friend from Data Robot days. He and I worked together at Data Robot and got to know him really well. He's a fantastic analyst and data scientist and consultant and researcher, and just an all-around great guy to know. So welcome, Ray.
Thank you. Thank you, Greg.
Awesome. Well, I wanted to maybe start by letting you introduce yourself a bit. Tell us a bit about your life and what sort of got you here. What's your origin story? Not what's on LinkedIn, but if it was a Marvel movie, what would your origin story look like?
Sounds good. Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Ray, based out of New York. So I know Greg from my Data Robot days, as early as 2018. So been knowing each other for 7 years. My education background is data scientist. My first job was actually working as a risk analytics in HSBC for 5 years, basically helping the bank capture suspicious activities and bad guys doing bad things in the financial services system. And then my journey have a pretty big pivot from there. Instead of working in the financial institution in very vertical function, very deep into one specific function, the functions in the bank, I move over to a startup world. So from there, I have like broader exposure to different, like pretty horizontal industry exposure. Financial services is still my key focus. So in my AI startup world, like Data Robot is my longest home. I've been there for almost 6 years. By the time I left the company, I was the RVP of a data science practice there, leading a team of up to 30 people, focusing on kind of helping customers deliver use cases and drive values and be the trusted advisor with the clients. And then my most recent job was director of AI solutions engineer at Snorkel AI, which is a company focusing on data development and programmatic labeling for data development in order to make better data for training, post-training, fine-tuning, evaluation. So
That's Snorkel?
That's Snorkel. Yep.
Well, I never knew what they did. I'm glad to know that.
Yep. So been there for a year. There are a lot of interesting client that I've been working with there, actually. So a lot of frontier AI labs that actually opened the door to have a conversation with Snorkel. And that I have a lot of exposure there about like how company are doing generative AI, how what the specific requirements are there in order to make their model specialized. So yeah, that's my background, always in the data science, machine learning, AI space.
But that's not your origin story. Side. Come on, let's go back to Mini Ray. Give us how'd you get into data?
Okay. Yeah.
what was it that kind of drew you to the space? And back when you were a wee one.
That's a very great question. So to be honest, I think this has just happened organically. I don't have like a strong inclination, but just naturally happened to me. When I was younger, like I was born and raised in China and came to the US about 14 years ago for my grad school. And I always
you came as an adult?
Yeah, I came to the States as an adult. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
After
awesome.
my
undergrad. What was that like? Was that a crazy transition or what? Had you been before?
It was fun. No, I only been to the States the same year after I get my after Rutgers accept me as a grad student. I came here for a short exchange program that happened the same year in 2011. Before that, I was always in China, and I was in Shanghai for 4 years for my undergrad school. And
what was the most unexpected thing that happened when you got to the U.S. for the first time?
That's
what wasn't
what
you
question.
expected?
Well, I think
the food had to be the food, right?
Oh, of course, yeah. The American the American Chinese food is definitely the most attractive things to me. Kidding.
Now I want to hear. What was your first American meal? Do you remember? First food you ate in America?
Something like Panda Express on that vein. I remember it was in the church because there was a church that organized.
Wait. So you're telling me you moved to America and your first meal was Chinese food?
Yeah, exactly. So there's a church with a bunch of kind of Chinese friends, students, and professors, and people working in the Rutgers area. They organize airport pickup every semester, every August when the new students are coming. And the first thing they get the students to is the church, and they have food and accommodation, and then give you a kind of brief welcoming session there.
Hmm.
That was my first meal. It's kind of buffet food. You grab your own
Ah,
stuff
yes,
on
I
a
see.
plate. Yeah,
Gotcha.
exactly.
Got it.
Exactly.
All right.
So back to your question about like how I get to data. Yeah, like mathematics and statistics is always something I'm pretty good at school. So just naturally become my profession and my strength. And then when I'm looking for jobs, data scientist is always the kind of the in the frontier for me to look into, and also for me to get opportunity. So I was hired as a data scientist in a small consulting company for a very short period of time before I moved to HSBC. And there, I do think like for me, data is the most like honest thing to tell you what's happening right in the world. As long as you can collect the data, as long as you can get the data that represents the specific behavior or profile, and then you can use that to detect some nuances that is not so obvious to our human body, a human mind, or is even counterintuitive, right? You might think the relationship is one way, but the data reveals something differently. But that's kind of the underlying relationship which actually matters and make better predictions and better inferences and better description of the world. So that's kind of that principle is driving me to still enjoying doing it. Regardless whether it's called data science, statistics, machine learning, AI, the nuance is the same, right? The fundamental principle is the same, that kind of you have data, you have a goal to achieve, and how do you make the data serving for that purpose for you to achieve that goal? And then how you can kind of keep improving it based on what you see that is not performing well in order to improve it accordingly. So that's kind of this principle is working in my entire data science experience personally. But also that's like one interesting area that keep me still loving it.
And that's what you studied at Rutgers?
Yeah. Yep.
Data science? Was that what it
Data,
was called?
it was statistics. I think now it's
That's what
called
I
data
studied too.
science. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You got to rebrand.
Yeah.
You could double your salary if you become a data scientist from being a
Exactly.
statistician.
There are like AI or machine learning majors right now. I don't know. It's of course it sounds similar to
Yeah,
what
you know what I found though? I've gone and spoken at a few universities recently, and they're all super hyper focused on the AI stuff, but the content's not actually getting there. So I have this feeling that the universities are a bit behind when it comes to how all of this stuff works, and that the professors are have not sort of like figured it out. They've got their own kind of focuses, and you know, they're kind of keeping on with their research, but the students are coming in and they're using these large language models, and it's weird, right? Have you had that experience working with universities at all? Do you do that much?
Not really. My client base, there's not a lot of high ed in my client base, so I don't really have a lot of touch with them. I think I do see those like viral TikTok videos about like professors in the classroom yelling at students, like not use ChatGPT or or everything sounds similar. I don't think for that point, actually, I don't really think they should. I think some of those are exaggerated, right? So I don't think it's just
Yeah, you think they're
reality.
staged?
It's
Yeah,
just it's very
or maybe they're
staged.
just completely AI. You can't even tell anymore these days.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Can you
Exactly.
imagine? Because 3 years ago, this stuff didn't exist,
No.
and now it's like, wow, suddenly you can't tell a TikTok video. You know, there's like a lion breaking in through somebody's house, and you know, like in Wisconsin, and you know,
Yeah.
there are no lions in
It's
Wisconsin.
crazy. I use it actually. I use it a lot. So I kind of I hope it's going as real as possible, but there's still some hints that you can tell it's not really factually right, or there's some small physical like fact physical phenomena that is not really well captured by the
Right.
AI models. But back
Yeah.
to the education and like things in university, I'm not opposed to like using AI for education. I don't know how the teachers are teaching AI right now, because that's, as you mentioned, they get trained, they have their own gigs, they have their own tracks and researches, so they might not be as good as those people in the industry, right? Like working on AI every day. But I think using AI for education is definitely one area that I hope can be more appreciated. Um, there's some conflicts, right? Should students use AI or not? But I went to a lecture or a keynote speech by Feifei Li 3 months ago in
Hmm.
AI4, which is an AI conference in Las Vegas. And she was during that keynote speech, she was mentioning like she hoped like education can be augmented by AI. So the like memory based education can be replaced by something more organic. Because right now we spend like 10, 12 years remembering things, especially for like, I'm not a, I don't learn like history or politics a lot in school, but I do remember I have to recite a lot of facts, right?
Well,
In
that's
order
kind
to,
of China, right? Is that a
yeah,
Chinese kind of thing?
yeah. We learn history,
Maybe that's a
geog,
stereotype. I have the feeling that there's a lot of kind of rote memorization
yeah,
in
but
Chinese
especially
education,
for
more
those
so
like,
than America.
yeah, especially for those non-technical subjects or like history
Yes.
or like geology or politics. There are a lot of like remembering based,
Mm.
memorizing based learning. So for those, I hope like we can just search on ChatGPT and figure out what's going on, and then just from there have more inspirational um, string of thoughts on top of that to make like more rationalization or um, kind of get the more insight and better educated the individuals. So I think that's something I definitely hope that education and high ed as well could augmented by AI going forward. But that's kind of a little bit far from my day to day. Just hear some interesting talking track from Fei Li. She's also grew up in China, so I think that's maybe where I resonate a lot with her talk at that moment. Yeah.
Who is that? I don't know that person.
Fei Li. So she was the one that curated the data set for ImageNet, and she was actually, yeah, she was in Stanford and Google DeepMind. I might be wrong, but that's her
No, I'm sure
background.
you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
I
now
suck at names.
she's leading the effort for World AI, I think. So she's trying to kind of have a virtual world built in AI system, so can more understand the physical nuances and have a like digital twin of the real world. So you
Hmm.
can, I think there's some video generation technology developed by that lab as well. It's pretty realistic, 3D. So a lot of things can actually happen in virtual world. This is similar to like what, well, from my understanding, similar to what NVIDIA is doing. Like I
Hmm.
attended some of the NVIDIA conference. I think the key, there are a lot of other like hardware GPU sales and promotion on that front. But one area that they are really promoting using their GPU is to render a 3D immersive virtual world that they can use to simulate the virtual environment so they can train, let's say, a Amazon delivery bot to kind of trial and error different scenarios in order to find the best path instead of using the real world setup. They can just simulate that in the virtual world in order to train the system to be better and then deploy the fine-tuned system and logic into a real world operation environment. So that's something I do
So a
think it's a,
simulation within a simulation.
yeah, exactly. So you simulate the environment first. That environment is kind of mimicking what real world is. And then the bot is operating in that simulated environment in order to find, so all this damage and errors would not really make a huge cost, right? Because you can kind of knock down a rack but with boxes of really fragile stuff, but it's just virtual, right? You don't really break anything in the real world. And then once these bots figure out how to collaborate, how to kind of yell to each other, how to optimize their path and avoid objects and kind of find the most optimal shortcut to things
Mm.
and deliver things on time, then those bots can be used in real life. And those physical bots are there. Like I think the sensors are pretty well defined, but the logic, how to go from A to B and avoid hitting things on the way will be something that is hard for them to learn, especially complex environment, right? Like what if the light is off? What if there's some object that is not expected there? How do you kind of adopt the environment change? So those are learning experience that can be learned in the virtual environment, not the
Mm.
real world environment. And that's something really fascinating. And with GPU, all those like accelerated computing, definitely that's what they are promoting from NVIDIA's
Mm.
point of view. But I think
Mhm.
that's definitely one area that I think will be very powerful for a lot of other different scenarios, right? Not only manufacture or logistic or supply chain, but also for any other everyday
Home
environment.
robots?
Hmm? Home
Home
robots, yeah.
robots.
Home robots
Yeah.
that could be a scenario as well.
Have you looked at the Tesla robot? All the hype about the Tesla robot?
I saw video clips of it. I don't really dig deeper into it. I
I
personally, I
think I
don't like the human-shaped robot. I like something more like the non-robot looking.
no. It's got to be human shaped, man. I had this argument with my wife. She's like, "We are not getting one of those." I was like, "It's not up to you. We're getting one of those. I'm
Yeah.
going to pre-order it the day that you possibly can pre-order it." They're super expensive though. I think they're like 15 or 20,000 or something like that. But
Oh wow.
man, if you have a robot that'll do your dishes and fold your laundry, the quality of my life would improve like dramatically.
Right. Yeah,
What would
I
you have
agree.
your robot do? What's your most hated chore?
I I actually don't know. Actually, yeah, clean the room definitely is one. Making the bed, like clean the dishes. Those
Clean the
are
bathroom.
Yeah, right, exactly. Those are fun. Like when I have time, I do actually enjoy doing it. But when that is competing with other stuff, like then
Yes.
it will be annoying. Yeah,
Right.
having something to help me with that would definitely be helpful.
So you'd have you'd do the cleaning and let the robot go to work for you.
Probably, if even
You want
better.
to be a housewife, a
That's
robot wife,
that's
husband,
basically
whatever.
what I am right now.
Yeah, sounds about
Yeah,
right.
yeah, exactly. So
How
I have a different view. I do prefer the robot in a different shape though. But
I
it's
don't know, man,
TBD.
because
Yeah.
we talked about all the education stuff, and I'm watching my daughter do homework, and she's got like this they have this thing called Delta Math where it's like on the computer, and it's
Mhm.
like it's real easy for the teacher because the problems are already there, and you like solve the problems and then type in the answer, and there's no grading, right? So, the I've taught too, and anything where I don't actually have to grade, those are tools that I'm going to adopt, right? Because humans are at their core lazy. In a lot of ways. And so like this is the lowest common denominator of education, right? The completely automated form-based homework. But then what she does on like on a regular basis, if she doesn't want to work the problem, she's in Chrome because it's on a Chromebook. She
Yep.
just like draws a line like a box over it, and then Gemini will solve the problem in the browser and tell her the answer, and she types it in. Like it's crazy, and it's insane. They don't even have to go outside of the environment where they're doing the work in order to use
Yep.
AI to solve the problem.
Yep.
But I really don't know what's going to happen with education because like if I don't actually have to know how to do anything, do I care? Like there's going to be a huge proportion of the population that's not like you that loves to do their chores. That's like, well, now I don't have to do my chores and it feels like a society collapse kind of moment. I don't know. That's one of the things that I worry about. What do you think?
Yeah, but I think my experience using AI for everything that I use, like text, image, video, audio, like clone my own voice for some TikTok videos. I think the
Wait, what to your own voice?
I clone my own voice for TikTok videos for like Instagram Reels. There's a app called 11 Lab. They're really good at like capture your voice characteristics and then clone that. So you can type in a paragraph and that app will like
Read
do the
it as you.
voiceover. Yep. Yep. It sounds pretty
Oh,
similar. You can also tune like variability. You can like add some filler words. You can
oh
tune
man.
the kind of how aggressive or chill you sound like. So all those is tunable. And you
Awesome.
just need to record up to 30 seconds of voice and then he will capture those nuances and do it
Wow.
accordingly.
Okay. Well, I know what I'm doing after this.
Yeah, I use that for my like webinar or video editing a lot. Recently, I like if I don't really need to show my face, I just use that AI to voice over instead of talking because that takes
Right.
time, and I can make a video in like less than an hour with the image, video, audio all combined together.
Uh-huh.
But I
For
already forgot
Instagram.
your questions. Yeah. Uh, what
Oh,
was
it
your
was
question again?
the question was
Oh,
if we
education.
don't actually have education. Like if we don't
Yes.
have to know how to do stuff, what happens when nobody knows how to do stuff? Like what does society collapse? Like I really think that that's the ultimate outcome here is that nobody has anything to do or knows how to do anything. So
Right. I think, yeah, the initiation, like the motivation is the key. Like what to prompt, what do you ask the AI do is still something that is like the most human part, right? If I
Mm,
don't really prompt all the three tools I mentioned, I use, and they will not collaborate together to make a video for someone, right? Like I think those AIs are doing something for someone, and but human is doing for yourself, right?
so
For
we provide the initiative. That's
Yep,
what.
we provide initiative, we provide the motivation, the goal, and then the
Mm,
AI is the one that is still the tool to get
mm,
us there instead of the one driving us there. Like it will be inspiration. The way I use it is more inspirational. Like have a general
okay.
idea and then trying to figure out what's the different variabilities there in order to find the right path instead of
Mm,
getting all those ideas generated by AI and pick one, which is less
mm,
authentic and original. And I will not really want to go with those routes instead of like I prefer to have one idea or a few ideas and like red team with AI and figure out which could work, which won't work. And from there, like prompt the right tool for the right thing and then
mm.
get them a goal to achieve my goal and then stitch them together. So there will be so basically I am the agent. The I'm the agent have access to different tools. Those tools also our agents have access to other tools, but I will be the one that kind of drive everything, orchestrate all those steps together, right?
Yeah, but so here's what I'm waiting for from Apple,
Hmm.
because you have an iPhone,
Yep.
because our text messages
Yeah.
are blue.
It's blue. Yeah.
Uh, yeah. What I'm waiting for is for the iPhone to listen to everything that I say, which of course it already does, but don't tell anybody. Uh, and to read my emails and my
Yeah.
text messages and help me do what the things I need to do. Like if my phone could send me a notification that says, "Hey, don't forget to reply to so and so about the thing on Saturday at 2 o'clock," or like, "Oh, I can tell you're having a conversation right now with Ray. You meant to ask him about this. Don't forget." That kind of stuff. Like that would be tremendously helpful. I want that. I would use that completely. And it would also like reduce the mental load and all that kind of stuff. But I wonder, would it make me stupid? I don't know. Would you use something like that?
I will. Yeah, I will. But that's also like those knowledge acquired from the past and something actually happened, right? So it's really hard for Apple to remind something I haven't really released to the world. Like it still stay in my
But that's what I'm
mind.
saying. It's all on your phone.
Right.
Like you text about it, you email
Mhm.
about it, you talk on the phone about it, you have conversations live about it. You've got your phone with you all the time. There's no reason something like that couldn't exist.
Yeah, yeah, that definitely, I agree. So like remind me doing this and like as a co-pilot, definitely that's a good use of AI, I think. But there still be something that like we might inspire each other and realize, okay, this is a topic I want to talk about, or I haven't really realized, oh, 10 years ago this happened. I want to bring it up to this conversation. And those are more deeper memories that it's hard to capture or connect the dots on the level of, well, the current level of AI, right? Like, because you
Right.
haven't really um, digitized those long-term memory to a message or email. It just
Mm,
happening in the past, like before the AI era. Maybe 10 years or 20 years from now, or our current memory can be captured by AI system, and that will be a different story. But still, like that long horizon, long time horizon might be a challenge for AI to figure out, okay, that is something related to this conversation 10 years later. And
mhm.
let's kind of bring this up to our current conversation. So I think, yeah, well, if AI can do that, that's kind of a
That'd
human,
be
like,
spectacular.
yeah.
That is the ultimate. Like I would use that every day. But at the same time, I was talking to like my mom the other day, and she doesn't use like sleep mode on the iPhone, right?
Hmm.
So the sleep focus mode,
Yeah, yeah.
so all the notifications don't bug you, and she doesn't like to turn her phone on silent. And I'm like, Mom, there are features on your phone that will make it work for you the way you want. And she's like, I don't want to set it up. It's too complicated, whatever. And I'm like, well, okay, well, you're in your 60s and yeah, I get it. Fine. And then, I look at my kids and they're doing stuff on their phones and I'm like, why? Like, you know what I mean? So there's this age thing where we're like, yeah, we still want to maintain the initiative and we still want to like drive the AIs and do the red teaming like you talked about. Is that just because we're old? Like, are the kids going to be, are they
Oh,
going to
yeah.
say, well,
Yeah.
the AI can do this?
They're AI native, right? They're born, raised, and grow
Yeah.
up in that environment, so they know how to deal with it. Like
Hmm.
I think, yeah, I think that's true. That AI doesn't exist like 10 years ago, right? When we first used like working on data science, and doesn't exist. This level of AI, right? We also call some other stuff AI as well back then. Um, but yeah, they grow up in that environment. They know much better. It's similar to companies, I think. Like you see companies like born and raised in from like 2022 onwards, they are much more AI native, cloud native, digital native. They just
Hmm.
they create from that with that DNA, and it's no don't really need to pivot to something. They don't need to figure out the business strategy from a traditional ML to AI native business model. They're born and raised in that era, and they just kind of they can ride the tide much efficient compared to some companies with a more traditional setup with a like old version infrastructure and ideologies and like the way to go to market. It's harder to pivot when the ship is heavy and hard to. Oh, I don't know why my TV
Oh,
is
your
talking to
Siri's
me now.
talking back to you.
My TV is talking back to me. I don't know why. Okay, that very timely topic. See, um, and that never happened. That never happened. Maybe something I mentioned like AI triggered the. It's
Uh,
LG TV, so it's not Siri per se, but the
oh, it was
remote.
LG.
Hmm. Yeah,
Oh, it
it's
must be a fancy TV.
LG TV. The remote has a microphone there, so sometimes I use it for search, like search
Yes,
this YouTube video,
yes.
but I never know this AI assistant functionality.
It's
But yeah,
always
I,
listening.
yeah, exactly.
That's
But we
actually a
didn't.
really interesting question.
Yeah.
I find that the younger people are, the less interested they are in digital privacy. Do you find that to be the case? Because like my mom won't use TikTok
Hmm.
because she's afraid that the Chinese are watching her.
Hmm.
And I'm like, Mom, nobody cares what you watch on TikTok. Just scroll, just doom scroll. It's fun.
Right.
But
I agree.
there's no teenager alive that's like, ooh, my data. You know what I mean?
Actually, the YouTube I'm watching right now, just a random pop up, is like why Gen Z is more has a more favorable score to China compared to the other generations in the Western world, basically,
A
especially.
favorable score? What do you mean
Yeah, like
score?
more pro. It's like
Oh, I see. They're more in favor.
no,
Less suspicious of China.
yeah, exactly,
I see.
exactly. So I
Yeah.
think that's well, I haven't watched that, but that's I just like open it and want to see it, like why Gen Z has a different perspective. Maybe that's why, right? Like some of the stereotypes are broken well, or they just grow up in that they cannot really they sacrifice some of the privacy concerns for convenience,
Yeah.
um, and they don't really see well, I don't know how big a pain that could be, but they don't really experience the pain or
Hmm.
challenges from like privacy point of view. But the
Right.
convenience is much more that adrenaline driven by those contents and the colorful stuff on the screen is way
Yes.
like very overweighing all the other concerns or potential drawbacks by using those applications. So
Mm.
yeah, and me too. Like I kind of do you want to grant access to this? Yes, sure. I want to use the tool.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not really something you can customize, right? It's kind of
Mm.
a lump sum of everything you have to agree or
Right. You have
disagree.
to take the good with the bad. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I have to kind of because my goal is to use it and share some of the privacy. So and, and I guess it's not really hide like it's hard to hide um in the digital world. Like you can, but if you want to use Instagram, it will popping up all those like tailored advertisement based on your
Yes.
Google search result and based on other browsers activities or emails you have. So I can block some, but it's really hard for me to sit down and like let me figure out how they're interconnected, and block all the paths. So Instagram will never know what I'm doing on my browser, on my Google account, on my email.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, I don't really have that interest. I don't even have that motivation to do. I think it's fine because that's all my behavior, right? Yeah. So.
I had a friend that would they would plant misinformation about themselves.
Hmm.
Like they would, they're on their Facebook. He was a 72-year-old woman, and on Instagram, you know what I mean. They
Yeah.
so his plan was to hide in the noise of his own misinformation. But I don't know. It seems like a lot of work to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Like, why, right? Like, what? Well, maybe for people with a very very unique thing they want to hide, that's fine. But I think I'm more open to, I can let the
Yeah.
internet know who I am, and then it can recommend me some good product. I'm fine with it.
Do you think it's a pendulum? Like, will something happen in 10 years where there's like a major violation of people's privacy that'll cause all these young people to suddenly become aware and the pendulum will swing the other way and everybody will be deny, deny, deny? Or do you think it's more sort of a natural evolution of the way things are going?
I would say latter, right? Natural revolution, but we are kind of good at figuring out how to deal with it, I think.
Hmm.
Well, not to the extreme extent, but we kind of cope with what the environment is changing and adopt accordingly, right? And kids with younger generation with better tools and like things that is much easier to access, I guess they will figure out how to adopt much quicker. Um,
Well, because like if you think about the idea of freedom versus security from a like societal perspective, like after the 9/11 attacks, people were way more interested in security than they were in freedom. And so you see things like
mhm.
the Patriot Act and stuff like that. And now it's started to swing the other way, right? So every time something bad happens, people want security over freedom. And then things are good and it swings back and people are like freedom, freedom. You know what I mean? So it's like a pendulum. It's kind of the same with safety versus privacy, I
Yeah.
think.
Yep.
Maybe like
Yeah,
once you
I,
have your data breached or something like that, then maybe you start to worry a bit more about privacy.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, this is something, yeah, is always there. Like, how do we regulate that? How to control those privacy is important topic. It's more from a like B2B level, to B level conversation, like how those company are, well, it's more from regulation, like how government is regulating AI system, what kind of rules and like and requirements are there to make sure things are not breached, more not shared without authentication, and those big giants should like do their work to make sure things are not leaked. To the extreme extent, I think data are always shared or sold for commercial purposes. Um,
Well, like I learned when I started working at Travelers that every time you take your car into the shop, they capture your odometer reading and a few other
mhm,
things like that in a database somewhere that the insurance companies buy
yep,
without your knowledge.
right,
And that's like, okay, interesting. There are data sources out there that are capturing data about you that you know absolutely nothing about.
yeah,
I didn't even know they were capturing that data before then.
yep. It's happening. But have you watched the Netflix series, Netflix movie, Social Dilemma? That one
No.
was like a few years ago. So
Is
basically,
it a
how
documentary or a movie?
it is a movie, but
Uh,
more like a sci-fi movie talking about basically uh, uh, create some human characters for the algorithm in the back end. It's like basically how have you watched the Inside Out that that movie?
yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So basically, they put all the algorithm and the functions back in the back end of Instagram, for example, into human. Like, how do you tweak the dials for this person to get more extreme, right? Get this feed all the time. Once you figure out this is something they're interested. So that was this theory is there for a long time. All the preference like recommendation system is doing that way. Basically, it just visualized into a movie to showcase from like two individual in the real world how they get like from someone more moderated to extreme left and extreme right based on what they see and fed in social media and they kind of unboxed what's in that AI algorithm for this recommendation into human. So that one was very thought provoking. For a lot of people kind of realize, okay, so a lot of things that we see as true is just what we received is very partial and biased, right? Um, but I hope there are things for this new era of generative AI and more advanced AI system that people realize, okay, there's also a some invisible hand in the back end that kind of manipulating the way that you're interacting with others and also consume your data for different purposes, right? Some of those are good, some of those are helpful and very
Do you,
beneficial for you, but some of those are not.
do you think that there is so certainly it's the case that like a TikTok and an Instagram are using the algorithm to keep you looking, keep you scrolling, right?
Yep.
But do you think that there is a more nefarious thing at work there, that where the algorithms are being engineered to try and change the way people think about certain things? Do you think that's happening at all?
Um, I don't.
Because
Well,
there's
it's
certainly
more.
been studies. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I'll let you answer. But there's certainly been studies that show that it's easy to influence undecided people by showing them content.
That I agree. Yeah. Well, I
Do you-
sometimes feel I'm convinced by something, or at least that short period of time, I would get so much like reinforced by the similar amount of similar information. I will think, oh, this is what happened, or this is what's true. But then time matters. Like if you, well, time can work in a good way or a bad way. If you keep watching those same contents, you get like 100% convinced this is true. But what I usually will just try different platform and see like for that specific topic, what's going on, and trying to kind of map out my own picture of it and trying to not make conclusions too quick. Sometimes I kind of argue with my friends when they see a headline, they just think that's true and then start to be worried or be outrageous about it. And was like, is it true? So always like
yeah,
question it first and make sure it's like, it's just one source, right? That source can be
yeah,
biased or even neutral. You should kind of reach out to extend the boundary and figure out what's possible reality of that story. Because all the story, as long as you are not part of it or like can have a kind of God's eye to see all the elements, is always a partial view. Like, have you watched Wicked, which is a hot movie right now? It just came out, the second one, Wicked
I've
for
tried
Good.
to watch it twice. I keep falling asleep. I can't.
It is yeah, it is not as good as first one. Don't
No,
don't
no,
quote
I've
me
tried to
on
watch
that.
the first one twice.
Oh, the
I
first.
can't.
Okay.
I don't know. I saw it in the theater live,
Hmm?
but yeah, I couldn't. I can't make it through it.
Yeah, like
I do
it.
keep trying though.
Yeah, the Wicked and like Wizard and Oz, they're the same story. Like they coexist, but they are quite different perspective, right? Like,
Yeah, like if you only read the New York Times, you're going to have a liberal view of how things are. Whereas if you read the Wall Street Journal, say, you might have a more
yeah,
conservative view.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to always ask a question, like, is it true? And
yeah, but
then
you're a
proceed
curious
with it.
person. You're a curious and intellectual and insightful and intelligent person, whereas your average person, maybe less so.
Yeah, well, thank you. But but yeah, I think that's just my way of doing things. And like, if I can convince anyone to do that, I will. Right? That's why like it's conversation is important. Like webinar, like talk, podcast like this is important. Like the more people can hear others' voice and learn some perspective from the others, the better people can be more um curious or challenging to what they received. And hopefully that will kind of make this less severe, right? When AI could create that like mind trap to trap you into something you believe true.
I heard the most interesting analogy the other day. I think I was listening to Joe Rogan,
Mm-hmm.
and he was talking about how phones and social media are like a drug
Mm-hmm.
that we don't really know how to treat an addiction to yet. And how in the future, in 20 years or something, someone will have grown up with it and they'll know, oh, I have this abuse problem with TikTok or whatever the platform will be. And so
Mm-hmm.
I sort of have to monitor my usage of it and, make sure that it doesn't consume me and stuff like that. I've already sort of seen that in my feed. Like if I see like a Judge Judy clip, Judge Judy, those things are so interesting. But if you watch two in a row, your feed will be filled with them. And so whenever I see one, I swipe right away because I don't want it, like I don't want that to consume my life just
Yeah.
because I was interested in this one Judge Judy case and suddenly that's now all I get.
Yeah, right. I actually don't. I'm not like I'm okay with this fact. Like similar analogy is might go a little bit geeky. Like I saw some memes about like human is basically well, oxygen, which is essential for everyone, is basically toxin for you for like 80 years, 90 years. Your body get oxidized in the environment for 80 years, and then gone. If there's no oxygen to kind of attack all your DNAs, your life can be much more elongated. So you kind of soak into this toxic environment with oxygen, which is essential for life for their entire lifetime, which is like to us, like electricity, right? It's water. Like those are could be harmful. Like water, not water, electricity, phones, internet. Those are
Mhm.
essentials that could do something harmful, but you don't really need to get rid of it because that's just
Mhm.
the environment that we coexist with. And then
It's
it's up to,
like anything in life, you have to sort of like
yeah,
moderate and balance and,
right. Exactly.
choose the life that you want to live.
Right. Yeah. That's
Mm.
addiction for sure. But like there are also other elements that is addictive that the human are addictive to. And we don't really need to get rid of, right? Completely.
Oh
You
yeah,
just
no,
like
I'm
how to
not.
moderate and yeah.
Yeah, definitely not suggesting getting rid of my phone. I'm way too addicted
Yeah,
to
right.
it.
Exactly. I'm always like looking to get the new one that have more AI functionalities there.
Uh, Yeah, although I mean, not a lot has changed on the iPhone. I've actually been really frustrated that there's hasn't been any new features come out
Nope.
in such a like they put a new button on it and the button does is so annoying and barely works. I mean, yeah,
This one, right?
I'm
The one,
yeah,
the camera.
the camera button. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't.
It's just easy access to camera when your
Yeah.
hand is like not with a glove on, for example, right?
Yeah.
It's when in the
Yeah.
wintertime. But other than that, it's just what I actually I hope it's not having significant change on the look, on the appearance. I'm so used to it.
I don't know. Yeah, well,
Function
it is what
wise,
it is,
I
but
hope we can have
yeah.
better AI. As you mentioned, like I hope iPhone
Hmm.
know better of me,
Hmm.
how I use my phone, and that behavior is a big amount of data for
Yeah.
iPhone to make some sort of assistant, copilot, or clone of
Yeah.
myself. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like privacy concerns are holding people back on that. Developers, like the companies back,
Hmm.
but I'm completely ready. Take my data, just give me an AI assistant that actually knows everything about me, and I'll be happy. But
Yeah.
the biggest problem with that, because I've got a couple of devices that do that. Like there are a few startups that have created hardware that you wear, and they like listen and all that sort of thing. But they can't distinguish TV from not TV. So,
Mm.
they start to mix reality and television world in their recommendations. So like I was watching Vampire Diaries
Hmm.
with my wife and it started talking about witches and demons and vampires and stuff in my daily summary. It
Hmm.
became very weird, like very sort of bizarre. Like my AI assistant had a mental break or something. But anyway, let's get
That's
back to
fun.
data science. We only have a couple of minutes left, but I really would love to hear your views on like where are we going from given all this AI stuff and how, how it's not really important to learn to code anymore because the computers can code for you, but still programmatic thinking is really important and being able to kind of tie everything together and use everything and understand what it is and all that sort of thing. What does a data scientist job look like in 5 years, 10 years? Would you advise your kids to go and study data science, or would you point them down a different path given what's going on?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't think, to be honest, I don't really, even though I'm a data scientist in my work in the past 2 years, even like in data robot life, it's not that much about the scientific part of itself. It's more engineering and architect. So if I see like how this, from my point of view, the paradigm is changing from like predictive model, which is more traditional ML forecasting, basically predict what's the next number or what's the next category, to generative AI, which is more simple prompting, summarization, creation. And then now everyone is talking about agentic AI, right? So it's more advanced, sophisticated, have more access to tools that can be used as a to solve more complex problems, right? And all those, you just enhancement or the evolvement is the algorithm underneath that can do a better job in very specific tasks, right? But how those tasks are stitched together, it still requires some scientific mind to kind of architect this process together to make sure you have a system that can not only working in the testing environment, but working at scale in the production environment, because that's how enterprises are using those generative AI system or agentic system. And then there are data science best practices there still. If we pick one example, like when OpenAI was training ChatGPT, the reinforcement learning part with the human feedback, they're kind of labeling preference um, for the outcome from the reward model. And they use very interesting statistical practices like to resample from those pairs to kind of augment the amount of data points they can have. By one experiment, they can extrapolate 6 data points because it's like 2 out of 4. They can have 4 to 6 different combinations there when they are actually using this data. So those are kind of experimentation design principles that is still statistics related, right? Data science related, but it can be serving for a different purposes to train those deep learning and large language model. And one other aspect is like evaluation, I think, because that's one area that I think is important for agentic system, especially because there's so many parts involved in this orchestration, like different tool callings, different user interactions, and different like agent task triaging. So how each step is working at accuracy will determine how the final output will look like, right? So how do you evaluate not only the end product, but also each steps and then chain them together? There will be necessary like statistical or data science principles needed in order to design that carefully and then set up different evaluation criteria. And all those are related to what we were doing back in that robot, like how do you monitor and maintain your system performance? How do you validate the performance before putting model in production, right? All those are still there. They might not really need to learn I enjoy learning the fundamentals of like regressions or the design of experimentation or inferences, right? But I don't know how much it's still required for more fundamental research, but for applied one, like knowing that or through the AI system is important. But better to know how to initiate the different new ideas and call the right tools with the help of AI is
Mm,
how I see this is evolving over time.
mm,
But from the industry research point of view, I learned like most of the companies, like 95% or plus companies are already adopting generative AI or agentic system, but only like 13-14% are actually claiming they have tangible return from those models. So still in a very early stage, right? So how
right.
do we lift that from like 15% value creation, 15% of those use cases actually creating value to a much larger number? Still require a lot of mancraft from AI engineer, AI architect, and also data scientist to work together to figure out like not only using it, but also using to generate the value and doing what this system is supposed to do and generate more benefit for human in general.
Right. Got it. Well, fascinating. Last question. I'm curious about uh, how you are using data in your life personally. I'm kind of a nerd. And so I always like to dig into the different types of data that people are thinking about in terms of like, day to day, right? So I track my sleep. I look at, like I look at the rings on my Apple Watch. I'm looking at, like my health statistics, as I do, whatever it is I'm doing. Now, those kinds of things are interesting to me. What kinds of data do you use on a day-to-day basis in your life that are important to you and that you're tracking over time?
Yeah, yeah. So when I was running more extensively, so I stopped it right now, shamefully, but I was running pretty extensively for
It's
like
too
three.
cold, man.
I know, but it's like this in general. This year, I didn't run much, but like in the past 3 years, I was running a lot, like including 4 or 5 marathons, a lot of half
No kidding.
marathons. Yeah. So I use an app called Strava, which is a pretty popular app in the runners community. And so I track data there. They have a phone app, which is connecting with your watch to collect data, but also they have a web browser, a desktop version that you can get more granular data from it. So I just use
Mm-hmm.
that data to track how I'm improving, where I can, because there will be a lot of variables, right? Like where you are running, what's the temperature, what's the weather that day, what's your fatigue score from before. Those are kind of leading indicators they can use to
Mm,
make some predictions on how you can kind of train up based on the training you have. So I don't really have like a lot of like models in the background, but just more using my eyeball checking, trying to understand what's the trend look like. So
sure.
that's one area. Um, I do use data a lot for my engagement on social media, like because they do provide insights and like how many views and likes and comments and that related to a few things that I based on my data analytics
Mm.
intuition. I also don't have a kind of model for that, right? Time matters. Like when do you post do you post it on social media? Um, the keywords, the hashtags you add there, music choices, right? And also, I think that's pretty much. And then there are other hints that you can like trial and error as well. So those are
Mm-hmm.
different like aspects that you can. I will observe and see. Okay, how do I get more views from people, right? And
Got
not
it.
only for my
Got to
own
get them
post, but
views.
also yeah, but also my I have a kind of podcast and webinar as well for my own
Oh, nice.
purposes. Yeah,
What's it
and
called? Promote it.
it's well, it's not related to data science at all, so we can.
That's okay.
It's more
Yeah,
like
you don't have to if you don't
yeah,
want to.
it's like a personal lifestyle
I see.
type of webinar for my community. But that one also like I do want views and not only for views, for awareness and visibility for
Sure.
people to
Yeah.
know exists, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the more I can outreach to, the more I can relay my like deliver my message to the people that I have outreach to, right? So not
Mm-hmm.
trying to kind of saturate their mind with my ideas, but give them a different perspective. So to
Sure.
avoid people getting too overly biased opinion by with the help of AI, basically. Yeah. So those are different areas I use my data for my day to day. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Because
And you mentioned Strava,
Mhm.
and you mentioned 11 Labs.
Yeah.
Any other apps you can't live without? What's the number one app you can't live without?
Well, I think let me see. Well, ChatGPT is the number one app I couldn't live without. Yeah, but that's kind of common
So
for
true.
everyone, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I do use Cup CapCut for video editing, and
Yep.
there are a lot of AI AI tools there. One of which is VO3, the one from Google for video generation. That is really good. Um, Google also announced their own Nano Banana as part of the Gemini 3, which is also pretty good. Midjourney, I like Midjourney from day one. So I was using Midjourney from 2023 when I started to create some blog posts for generative AI. So they're really good. They're creative. They're not very guidable. You just kind
Yes.
of, you have to give
It
it
is what
a,
it is. Yeah.
yeah, it is what it is. But some of those images are really creative and high
Mm.
resolution. So I prefer using them over the images generated by ChatGPT, by ChatGPT or Nano Banana. What else? 11 Lab, that's something I start to explore, which is a tool that for voice generation, text to voice, or text clone, or voice to text, like everything audio related, is super
Mm.
helpful. Still exploring others. I think those are the few I use a lot. I tried
Nice.
Claude at a for a period of time. I like them in a way that they're good at coding. Even when you're prompting for like create a website or create a PowerPoint, it will just use HTML and CSS to kind of um, build the website for you using code, and you can see the code view versus the preview with the graphs and colors on the screen. So that's super good, but not as creative as you can imagine, like what Google and ChatGPT can do.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm a signed up like as have prescriptions for all the tools I mentioned just now, which is a
Yeah.
big
Right.
deal. I need to consolidate that to some extent. I heard there's I forgot the website called, you can kind of sign up for one, like pay a lump sum, like $20 per month, and you can use all the tools, but they have a bigger contract in the back end. So you kind of consume
Ah,
credit
I see.
by the fraction you're using instead of you have to
That's smart.
subscribe $20 for each of these applications. Because you don't
Yes, I
really
like the
use that
bundling.
amount of money. Well, at least my daily interaction with those AI tools, I won't really
Uh-huh.
consume that amount of compute power.
You need a fractional subscription.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I need like a
totally.
pay as you go mode.
Nice. Awesome, Ray. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. This was really fun. We didn't really focus hugely on data sciences, but we talked a lot about our interesting stuff in AI and all the things that are going on. Before we sign off, anything that you want to promote? You want to give your Instagram or anything like that for people to follow you and kind of see what you're up to?
Yeah, well, maybe follow in my LinkedIn. And my LinkedIn is you can search Ray Me, and I think the first one pop up will be me. Um,
Nice.
yeah, and open for job opportunities. If anyone have good opportunities for like leadership role in the pre-sales, sales engineer, or machine learning experts, I'm happy to explore and have a conversation.
Nice. All right, cool. Thanks, Ray.
All
Appreciate your
right,
time. See you later.
thank you so much, Greg.
All right,
Thanks.
bye.
Bye.